We interrupt what you're watching right now to bring you this exciting story.
It's the dust and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the pledge of allegiance on the 4th of July. It's some handwritten letters from home. It's some sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. For these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. It's the red, white, and blue. Lay down his life. It's the red, white, and blue. For these stars and stripes. It's the red, white, and blue. Stand on the front line. It's the red, white, and blue. Pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man I was when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flags still wave. And then he came home with all he wanted. It's Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. For these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Stand on this red line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Can pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. Lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue. For these stars and stripes. March in line. March in line. Hey. Hey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration of Independence proclaims God-given rights, and we intend to protect them. Working with people like you for over 50 years, preserving freedom and building a better tomorrow. Safeguarding the Constitution by limiting government power. We are restoring liberties, educating voters, and leading the freedom movement. Join with us. United, we will defend our rights. We are all Americans. We are the John Birch Society.
Well, good evening, Erie County. How are we doing this fine Wednesday afternoon? I tell you, it was a good nice day today. Was a busy day. There's always something to do. I had some stuff to do around here. Had to do some work around the studio. Still kind of fine tuning the big switchover we did, and I think we've got it dialed in. We've got the lights dialed in. I think we'll watch it back on replay to see how that works out. The sound we got doing well. The videos are doing well. But we're going to change gears here just a little bit. We have a guest calling in at 8:15. Now, we usually like to have a little bit of heads up. That way we can kind of build it up a little bit. But hey, you know what? The way I look at it is we have our solid crew that comes in. A lot of folks come back and watch this later on. I know some people watch it at work. I was a guy I bumped into at work one day. He had his headpods on. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "What are you doing?" He goes like, "I'm listening to your show at work." I'm like, "Shh, don't tell the boss. You'll get in trouble." But that's okay. That's why you can just put it on your headphones and listen to what we talk about. The videos are cool. A lot of times it's a visual thing. And that's why we did a kind of the hybrid of doing a video / podcast, because that way we can show you the visual. Most people are very visual and they like to see stuff to really kind of grasp it. And I get that. Visual learners. And I'm one of those people. So yeah. Let's see. Kim's here. James is here. Kim's here. Gwen's here. Lance is here. Man, Linda's here. Stan, live from the pole barn. I know we're going to have to do, Stan, is we're going to set up a camera so we can do a live feed of you in the pole barn watching us. Just kind of do a live feed. But what we got going on today is our special guest in a couple of minutes here will be Matt Wolford. He's running for Commonwealth Court. He's a local Erie County guy. He's running for the big show. I think he's going to do very well in Erie County. I know him and Maria Batista have been tromping all over this state with their big wins, and they've earned it. So Matt will come on at about quarter after. They're literally on the road. He goes to, we talked about it. I said, "Hey, do you want to do a video or just do a call?" He goes like, "We are literally driving home from a state fair. So we're going to get a phone call." So hopefully, he's traveling somewhere where they have good cell service. If not, we totally understand that. But yeah, a lot of things going on. Of course, the dilemma with the city of Erie small houses is heating up, of course. Bretton Davis was all over the news and we had him on the show. And of course, the lame duck Democrat mayor they put out a statement. I know he didn't write it. Come on. We know how he's got a PR people that do it. It's just like Josh Shapiro and his $3 million PR people that are always doing TikToks. And, it's funny how elected officials love to play on TikTok while they're on the clock, but it's official. Yeah, whatever. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Trust me. But yeah, that's that. There was a big, huge write-up on Facebook about that, saying, basically no one's above the law. If you want to read the whole blah, 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 blah thing, just go to my Facebook page. It's there. I'm not going to waste your time or the show's time to read this thing. It's just so lengthy and, codes this and codes that. And, my comment was, there were several comments where the little houses that they already have online that are up and running don't even meet fire codes. So they're giving Brenton this whole, well, it's got to meet codes. Wait a minute. You got people living in these mini houses that have paneling on the inside of them. That's against the fire code. Has to be fire rated drywall. Bretton Davis pointed out the other day that the windows have to be big enough so firemen can get out, or even you people can get out during a fire. They're not. They're just regular sheds you would buy at your local shed dealership, and they threw paneling on it, threw some electrical in it. Have a nice day. These ones that Bretton and the crew have done, They followed the building codes. They're made out of 2x4. They're waiting for basically a place to put them so they can do the rough inspections because it has to be rough inspected. Well, of course, that's where it comes into the political football. And of course, the manager of Wesleyville, he had to chime in on there. And don't you have a township to run that's like broke and failing, and the roads are crumbling under each other, and a volunteer fire department that barely surviving? I think you have more important things to worry about than Jiminy Cricket, longtime listener, first time comment. Well, welcome aboard, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I would worry more about Wesleyville failing, and then what the city is doing for the homeless people, because I'm assuming Wesleyville has homeless people. I can only assume. I don't know. I got another backstory that I'll wait for later to talk about the manager. What a bold face lying. I almost said it. And I'll get into that too, because that was verified that he it was a phone call. He lied to me. We'll get into the details of that after the 15th, after Mr. Wolford in here. But I was trying to let this whole thing go, but he has to chime in and I'm the manager of Wesleyville. Okay, and what does that do? Yeah, you know how to lie. I caught you doing that. So then, of course, he has to chime in and the building code this and building code whatever, dude. Go fix your little rundown town, and let's work. You focus on that. Let the big boys worry about the big boy projects, and we'll take care of that. So we'll come back to that. I'll steal a Democrat slogan. We'll circle back around to that. But that's it. So what we got here? We got some good comments coming in already. Democratic executive candidate Christine Vogel is getting worse. I've watched some of her posts, and I don't get it. That's Kathy Delkamp. I'm telling you. I mean, I like Ms. Vogel. She's a member of the Harbor Creek community. She's got a business out here. She supports our American Legion. She's got Kathy Delkamper running the strings. I mean, I'm not saying that Christine can't. I'm just saying her rhetoric is classic Kathy Delkamper. If you know anything about Kathy and how she ran for Congress and one term and out, and then she didn't run again for county executive, and that's where Brenton Davis came up and said, awesome show. 100. Well, thanks, John. We appreciate that. And of course, according to Erie City Council, all we do is skew our facts. No, actually, we try to verify our facts. And from how we look at it, I think we're right on the money. So yeah, Robert, thanks for coming in. Got all kinds of folks coming in here. Well, yeah, let's on my one post, I put what Harrisburg is doing. They put some gravel down, put a pallet, gave them a little pup tent they probably bought from Walmart, and they say, here's your house. Here we are in Erie County, putting the bar up really high, and the city wants to just, foo-foo it because it's Brenton Davis's project. And the mayor, he sponsored one of those little houses that's up and running that is basically illegal. I mean, if somebody would get hurt or a fire would break out, they're literally about a foot apart from each other. Show me a building code that says you can put occupied dwellings a foot from each other that has electric in them. They have electric. I'd like to see the meter box. I'd like to see the fuse panels, the breaker boxes. I want to make sure those were installed by licensed union electricians, because they weren't. Because they're just a shed that you would buy at the neighborhood shed, and they stuck flowers on them and it built a little porch and stacked them right next to each other. And boy, I'll tell you what, Mayor Joe was out there cutting ribbons for all that, but it was a Democrat thing. So the Republican comes up with a better project, has 2-story, some of them are like 1,000 square foot. He was talking about the stairways, how, the minimum code 17 inches. They did 30-inch steps on it. So show me those little metal tin roof ones that they have for the people in the city that are being occupied that meet building codes. Oh, don't worry about it. That's a mayor thing. So yeah, I mean, I totally get that. But it's all politics. And then when the liberal Democrats chime in, of course, they run to protect their King Pooh Bah lame duck, Sniffy Joe, that actually sponsored a shed, probably paid $1,000 for it and threw some curtains on it. Have a nice day. There's your deal. And you have to have a fire rated wall inside them with insulation. The ones that Brenton showed the other day, guess what? They were insulated. They didn't put the drywall up yet because they're waiting to have them where they're going to go and have an inspection. She said that Brenton breaks the rules. So point her out. Well, yeah, that's a whole nother deal, Donna. Trust me. Here, I'll snap. I can't put that up on the belly. Put that on a big screen. Yeah. Where'd you go? Let me catch up here. Yep. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, these are questions that are going to come out. You know, they really are. You know, they like to foo-foo Brenton and everything that he's done. And, you know, I don't remember any of us. I can probably ask a poll. How many of us have halos? Anybody have a halo in this room? If you do, speak up now or forever hold your peace. Nope, I didn't think so. No halos in this room. You know, Stan, you're absolutely right. Typical do as I say, not as I do. It's okay long as they're doing it, the left's doing it. But the minute the right does it, oh my God, look in Texas. Look at the bullshit in Texas. We got some videos on that. We'll come back to that. That they've been gerrymandering every state. Illinois is like the capital of gerrymandering for the Democrats. And the minute the Republicans get just enough traction, just get enough push to fix it. Oh my God, threat to democracy. Oh my God, Gestapo. You guys are so disgustingly hypocritical. It makes me want to throw up. I mean, it really, really does. You know, we have videos playing on that. Of course, the other big story that we'll circle back around on is what's going on in D.C. It's amazing how people are protesting not to have safe streets. Hi, Bill. How's it going, buddy? They're protesting to have safe streets. And the police chief, and I hate to take a swing at our brothers and sisters in blue, but yeah. Well, I see a halo on my wife. Well, Lance, you probably need to clean your glasses. I'm just saying. I don't know. I can't say that. Your lovely wife they've been nothing but nice to us, so I can't say that. But it's your wife. She knows where you sleep, and she knows where your food comes from. So I'd be very careful on that. So yeah, Jimmy, there's some issues on that. You know, we'll dive into that later. Miss Vogel sent me a text earlier about these tiny houses, and I said, "Hey, you guys doing a debate?" They said, "Yes, they're going to be doing a debate. It will be a closed debate, meaning we can't go. It'll just be very sterile. It'll just be some, you know, some questions, and I wouldn't doubt if, you know, the liberal media doesn't like maybe slide her the questions before they even start. But hey, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying, you know, I don't trust the Democrat party as far as I can throw them. And the local media has a tendency to be a little on the woohoo left side. I know Erie News Now is probably one of the best ones we've got. But their online stuff is a joke. Absolutely a joke about the online Erie News Now stuff. But that's a whole nother story. But they're actual reporters, you know, Mike Ruzzi's done a lot of great stories, always taking care of the veterans and their stories. You know, Philip Ward, great reporter, anchor guy, just awesome. You know, he always did me well when he interviewed me when I was on county council. So yeah, Gavin Newsom, governor for California, wants to restrict to all blue. Well, of course, it's already they couldn't gerrymander it anymore, other than just say Republicans can't vote. You know, but if you really pay attention to the voting maps on the last election for the president, it's all red except the coastline where all you have your population density. Yeah, LA, San Diego, you know, all the big cities along the coast, that's where your population density hurts, just like in Pennsylvania. Where's our population density? Philadelphia. You know, but I'm telling you, I talked to the folks, it's called Turn Philly Red. They have been working their backsides off to turn Philadelphia red. And I think they're going to make some traction. I don't see them flipping it red just because that is deep. I mean, that is deep blue. I mean, that's like a movie, isn't it? Deep blue. But yeah, it's just an issue of, yeah, good luck. We could get some more traction out of them and help turn the state red because what do we have coming around the corner? We got these judges coming up. We also have a governor's race coming up. And our people, come on, Shapiro is running for governor and still winking and still nodding that he's going to run for the president. This is a classic Democrat move. Kyle Faust did that same baloney out here. Ryan Bizzaro did the same baloney out here. Ran for 2 offices. Well, he didn't get. He ran up against Stacey Garrity, for God's sake. Give me a break, Colonel Stacey Garrity. He had no chance of beating her. No chance. And then Kyle Faust did the same thing. He ran for his county council seat. He ran for controller. You know, that's a tactic that Democrats do, is they put their feet on 2 bases. So depending which way the wind blows is depending on what race they take. Kyle's his philosophy on that was he wanted to win controller. Well, yeah, it's a $90,000 a year job, and he doesn't do anything. County council is a part-time job at only $11,000 a year. So if he would have won both races, he would have handed the seat off to a Democrat. Well, we didn't want to do that, so they had me run, and I ran because it was a nice, clean race. Kyle didn't pull any shenanigans, no bullshit, no false, fake, half innuendos. That pretzel and his deep, dark, dirty, disgusting Harrisburg money did. Matter of fact, we were just talking about that earlier about Vogel's like, hey, did you ever have a debate with Drexel? We invited him. We set it up at Penn State Barron. Dr. Ford was involved. I saw the emails from Dr. Ford from Drexel to saying, hey, you know, what should I expect? How are we going to do this? How's it work? Blah, 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 blah. He didn't show. Let me put my shock face on. The coward did not show. He would not face me square off. He would just sit on his social media and be a keyboard hero. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, Bill, like I said before, you're pain in my backside, but I'm not being, because I know Brenton and I'm a Republican. She's going to really struggle with this one. I mean, she really is. Nothing against her. I think she's a great person, great business lady, does a lot to help her community, and that's fine. But that doesn't make a county executive. You're going to hear live in a debate like undercooked subs. Oh, that was funny. Yeah, I get that. Philly's getting better. Love Sue and her leaders. Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, Stacey for governor. I'm still waiting. Doug Mastriano has thrown his little teasers out there. A lot of social media running around out there. He's doing the circuits of parades and everything. Drexel and Copeland were both no shows. Well, that's what they do. They are just keyboard heroes. They don't actually want to stand up and debate or talk to anybody, but they'll stand behind a microphone at council meeting and hide behind the chairman. And speaking of chairmans, what a disaster of a county council meeting that was last night. And I tell you what, you couldn't even hear it. There was no sound. I don't know if that was an accident. I don't know if that was an accident for the Democrats not to be able to have it broadcasted, but there was some news entities about it where certain individuals, I'm not going to give him any play. He said time was up. He's like, I don't care. Throw me out. Well, he should have thrown him out. Well, that's what they want. They want to be the martyr. They want to make sure that, I don't know. Can you see big, tall Doug being the lieutenant governor with little short Stacey? They're both full-bird colonels, so that's cool. They both have the colonel deal. But yeah, so it's definitely some interesting times. We got a lot of stuff happening. Hey, Brenda, could you send Matt a text and see where we're at? Because the lieutenant is now 10 minutes late. I don't like late. If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. Okay. Thank you. Billy's getting better. Love Sue. Oh yeah. I mean, and I get that. Yeah. Shapiro the warmonger. I know. No, he's not. Yeah. But he was signing artillery shells going over to the Ukraine. Oh, no. That was Photoshop. That wasn't real. No, that's bullshit. That's a bold faced lie. Yeah. Kim Hunter, Scatella is a bold-faced. Scatella is such a whip. Well, no, if you put him in front of a camera, that's Brenton Davis. That's blood money that we hold those illegals at the Erie County lockup. Blood money, Scatella. And Dave put together a awesome video on that one. We'll have to dig that one out of the archives because that one's worth replaying. That Scatella, blood money Scatella. Give me a break. It's dramatic. Come on, I don't know what Marine Corps he went to. Jeez, I thought back then they were actually came out there for they were tough back then, not like they're still tough today. I don't want to piss anybody Marines off. I'm just saying. I'm still crying over that. Oh, I didn't, Bill, I couldn't hear it. I didn't see it. Just for cello, Dante Cooley turned off the microphone. I'm still crying over that one. Yeah, I bet you are. But I get that. It's, you're right. That's disgusting. He was signing bombs that are designed to kill people. Now, if a Republican had done that, oh my God, it would be breaking news, Wolf Blitzer on CNN. It would be. That would be the absolute truth. It's what they do and what we do are two different things, different standards. It's just like Maxine Waters. We have a video of her getting in hot water for campaign finance shenanigans. Paid her, being nice, paid her daughter a lot of money, and she got a little fine. Said she was sorry, and her campaign manager has to take a class on campaign finance. If a Republican did that, woo, man, yeah. Hey, Josh, Jiminy Cricket. Okay, that's an original one. I have no idea who Jiminy Cricket would be. So, well, thanks for coming in. That signing Bob's gonna be sick. I totally agree. That would be evil too. Yeah, it's just. I mean, I know that used to be a World War II thing. They used to put little messages. You know, here you go, Emperor. Here, Hiroshima. Blah, da 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 da. But this is a peacetime. This is a conflict we had nothing to do other than the fact that artillery company is shell making company is here in Pennsylvania. So he has Zelensky and Bob Casey and the governor signing artillery shells that were going to be shipped over to the Ukraine to kill people. Yeah, that's real. Woo, that's real progressive and of a Democrat to do that. Well, Brenda, let's go ahead and slap a video up there until we hear from Mr. Wolford. Celebrate Aries this weekend. Come on out. Let's get the word out. I'll lend you my bulletproof vest. Somebody sent me a list of the rules, and now it's a joke. It's effed up Aries post. You know, no baggy pants below 5 inches, hanging down. Just all kinds of just really funny. It starts off really, really like, you know, no strollers, no pit bulls, no unaccompanied kids, and then it got into the real funny stuff.
Ryan.
Yeah.
8:45.
Okay.
They're just getting back towards their car.
Oh, okay, good. I remember signing. Yeah. Well, Lance, I get that, but you're not the governor, and they were meant to kill bad people. This Ukraine thing, Bonnie Tracy, thanks for coming in. It's nice to see some new faces in here tonight. Let's see which channels are lighting up here. Wow, Facebook's taking number one. Make Erie Great Again has two viewers, and YouTube's doing pretty good. We don't have anybody in X. That was made, didn't? Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, I saw that on Effed Up Erie. I know the guy that does that. He's a funny guy. He really is, and it's a funny channel. He's a decent guy. So Brenda, go ahead and play a video for us.
What the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor?
What does that mean? You're the chief of police of our nation's capital, which has the highest murder rate, homicide rate that absolutely compounds and surpasses any third world country. I mean, that's an actual fact. Look up the statistics. I've done the research. The White House has done the research. The administration has done the research. And you were asked a question that a third grader knows the answer to. You don't know what mind you, this is not the PR lady or the public relations officer or a deputy or a rookie. This is somebody who has been on the force for over 25 years. She was hired as the chief of police back in 2022. And you want to know what her title was before that? Here's a big shock. Bum, bum, bum. She was the chief equity officer. Here it is again.
What the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So the executive order is clear. The president has requested MPD services, and our home rule.
That's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, that's what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
You can see Mayor Muriel Bowser come in to save her because she knows. That was desperation. Did you see what the mayor just did? Cutting in there. Oh, no, don't. Let's not let the world find out that you're the worst DEI hire, that everything we've been doing for the last 16 years since Obama sowed these seeds of dissent and division and segregation and racial hustle. Let's not let them find out. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why I keep saying time and time again. DEI didn't earn it. It is antithetical to the Constitution. It is antithetical to the laws of meritocracy and man and fairness and objectivity. It is literally racist and discriminatory in nature. This is why I keep calling it the worst contagion, parasitic idea to ever afflict our great society ever.
Yeah, this guy I started following after he picked up our little get together at City Council with exposing the racist City Council person calling people who wear red hats members of the KKK. This guy right here, this YouTuber, this TikToker, this guy he's got millions of followers. He picked up the Jasmine story and he played the Jasmine story as the local news presented it. And they did an actually pretty good job. I was actually shocked. 24 did a pretty good job. Philip Ward, I think, did a little better job, well, because he interviewed me. I might be biased, but I'm just saying. But this guy had millions of hits on Jasmine, and here Jasmine Flores's post about her story about the racist. So we have a racist, a rock thrower, and a shooter on City Council. And you wonder why we are pushing hard, and pushing hard to change things. Speaking of changing things, here's a quick cheat sheet of the races that we are really, really focusing on. Not to say that the races out in the county are not important. I'm sorry, didn't mean to do that one. Click the wrong button. There, we'll put that back up there. Mike Pace is running for supervisor up in Summit. That's going to be a really tight one. He's running against Jack Lee, the Democrat. Michael Pace is a longtime resident of Summit. Real good guy. I had the pleasure of working with him. I helped him with his campaign when he ran for state rep. He has run for supervisor before, and it was always close. I mean, close. It's a small town, literally a handful of votes change the direction. That's why we preach and we swear and we stomp and we kick and we scream for you people to get out and vote. My vote doesn't matter. No, it does. Long as we can keep the Democrat-controlled Board of Elections fair and honest, we'll have a pretty good election. I think. I'm not saying we are. I think we are actually getting it right. Scott Pressler, Charlie Kirk, all these big dogs on the front porch paying attention. Where finally Pennsylvania's getting the attention because they realize how important we are as voters when it came to President Trump. The first time President Trump won, Pennsylvania went red. Pennsylvania didn't go red the second time, he lost. So then they pushed really, really hard. It went red again, and he won. Hello, here's your sign. Pennsylvania is important. So it appears they're spending some money. I see a lot of ads showing up on social media, sponsored by the Republican Party. Nothing local because Tom Eddy won't spend a dime to do anything to help anybody other than whatever Tom Eddy spends his money on, which is ridiculous. But that's a whole nother story. PA GOP has gotten better. We've had a kind of a change of the management, which is good. And I think they've finally learned. I think the Trump people have said, listen, you people better get your shit together. If not, we're going to keep losing these races, and we can't afford to do it. Here, Harbor Creek, we have Steve Oler. He's up for re-election. I usually have his pin right here, but I don't want to put a pin in my brand new, very expensive microphone. I'm going to make a little bracket. I just haven't got to. I'll make a little bracket to put those little pins on there. But yeah, Steve Oler's running out here. I know we got to pay attention here. This is really, really, really touchy. As you saw last night at the city county council meeting, how they basically threatened Jim Wynorski, threatened him. We're coming after you. And this is the clown that is actually a poser. He got enough. He played the cards just right to where he is he's a write-in candidate for a Republican. This is Kevin Pastuca. He is not a Republican. So if you're in Jim Wynorski's district, stop the presses. Shank didn't bump his head. Don't vote for the Republican in Jim Wynorski's area, because this is the Republican that you're going to get. This is a rally that they basically came after Mike Kelly, and then when he saw Bretton Davis, he literally came after Bretton Davis. This was a video we played, and this is just a screenshot. I want everybody to realize he is the Republican, as I throw up as I say it, but he is not a Republican. He's just playing the write-in ballot deal. He got himself written in on the Republican side. Do not vote for this Republican, because he is not. He's not even a rhino. He's not even in the right zoo, because he's such a knucklehead. I've heard him speak a couple of times. There's nothing but nasty hate comes out of his face. But yeah, that's another story. But yeah, so we're just kind of like filling it in. Brenda, you want to play another video?
I see the meltdown. I see the meltdown.
Now, these, leave it up there for just a second, Brenda. I know that's a quickie. It's a real quick one. I want you to look what they're doing. The Democrats are locking themselves in a cage to protest people being locked up in a cage. And they have people in black just pretending to be, corrections officers, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it's... Oh, I got the wrong button clicked, Brenda. Sorry. There I am. Boop. I got a message from the boss lady. Where's your camera? It's right there. So this is the mentality of the Democrat Party. Really, they have plumb lost their minds, which we knew this was going to. We knew this was going to happen when Trump was going to. We knew he was going to get reelected. We talked about this on the show. They will literally lose their minds, come unglued, and do stuff like that. There was a guy that stuffed himself in a dog kennel talking about the conditions down in Florida. Now, I worked in a state prison, and I've been at a lot of state prisons. I don't remember any of the state prisons having linoleum floors, not having, private bathrooms. I don't remember any of that. But hey, that was 11 years ago. Yeah, I know, Seth. You're absolutely right. It takes a special stupid to lock yourself up to make a point. I know. That's like pepper spraying myself, saying I hate pepper spray, and it shouldn't be allowed to have pepper spray. But this is the mentality of the left right now, and that's why we push really, really hard to just say no. Put the no in November. These are the judges that are pushing to be retained, that are seated right now. It's really simple, boys and girls. No, and come on, everybody together. No. We are not supporting this at all because it's bad juju to have these in there. So yeah. Yeah. Hang on one second. That computer's acting wonky. Yeah, so let's see here. 37. Well, let's just go with Brenda. Just go with another video. Then when they get the call, I'll just hold them.
A jaw-dropping maritime moment. A Chinese Navy destroyer accidentally collided with its own Coast Guard ship in the South China Sea. The incident happened near the contested Scarborough Shoal during a high-speed maneuver. Dramatic footage shows the massive warship, hull number 164, smashing into the smaller vessel, leaving its bow visibly crushed. Despite the heavy damage, both ships remained afloat. The video, released by the Philippine Coast Guard, captures the 10 seconds before impact, as the naval vessel closed in dangerously on another patrol boat. Experts say such rare accidents can highlight the risks of operating large ships in tight, contested waters. To dive deeper, click the link to.
You don't think the skipper of that vessel didn't get fired? And it wasn't like one vessel, it was two vessels, and they hit their own vessel. And you know, the folks on the Philippine vessel were just laughing all the way back to port that, you know, the big Chinese vessels smashed into each other. Folks, this is why we do the show, to bring this crazy stuff to bear, because the local news isn't going to catch it. Watching the national news is almost a waste of time, depending on when they show this stuff. They're coming for Jim Wynorski because he wants to wait. Yeah, I know. And that's, I don't understand. It's just like when they went after city council, when it's a state entity and then the state is doing the investigation. So they think, well, let's go ruffle the feathers on county council because Jim Wynorski, that's his district. Okay. And what does Jim Wynorski have to do with PSP or the district attorney? Boop. Nothing. A big fat nothing. It just happened in his district. Well, you know, is Jim supposed to be out patrolling the neighborhoods after work to make sure none of this stuff is wrong? You know, yeah, they call for peace, but then you watch their social media, it's nothing but hate. I mean, just absolutely hate. Made in China, said people on the Chinese vessel. No, I made a joke the other day. It was a comment. I said, man, this is what happens when you buy your warships off Temu. Boom, right there. So yeah. Let's see, Brenda, you got another video? Yeah, you got another video. Go ahead and throw it up.
I'm Christina Wyo in Dallas, and here are are your top stories. Congresswoman Maxine Waters' campaign was found guilty of violating multiple election laws and was ordered to pay $68,000. The FEC is ordering the campaign committee of Waters to pay the fine for multiple campaign finance violations during her 2020 re-election campaign. The FEC said the campaign didn't correctly report how much money it was taking in or spending in 2020, accounting for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It also accepted donations that were over the legal limit, $19,000, and made $7,000 in cash payments, which is against the rules. To settle the issue without going to court, the campaign agreed to pay the fine and send its treasurer, David Gold, to an FEC training program within a year to learn the rules. The campaign said the mistakes weren't on purpose and were just errors. They fixed their financial reports and returned or redirected the extra donations. This is not the first time Waters' campaign has been in the spotlight for financial reasons. In fact, in 2023, Waters' campaign paid her daughter, Karen Waters.
Hi, this is Brian. You're live.
Hi, Brian. Matt Wolford. How are you?
Well, welcome aboard, sir. How was your trip down to the fair areas that you're taking care of these days?
Well, we're kind of here and there and everywhere. So right now we're on our way from the fairgrounds in which county are we? Help me out. Which county were we in this time? Yeah, Newport. What's the county? Oh, Perry County. So named after our Admiral Perry. So it's interesting that they care about our Perry all the way down near State College. And earlier today we were at the Ag Progress Days, which is also near State College. It's a very impressive showing with it's Penn State oriented, but it's where they have new technology for farmers, and it's about both technology and agricultural business. And so tomorrow we're heading up to a different fair in the Scranton area. And so we're moving up there this evening, so I don't have to make that drive in the morning. So we're here and there and everywhere. It's all good. I'm learning a lot about Pennsylvania.
Well, I know I follow you on social media. You are everywhere doing everything. So I mean, I get it. Now I know your background. Now let's pretend that the folks here in the room that are watching the show right now don't know who Matt Wolford is. So give us a real quick rundown who the man, the legend is.
Well, that's very flattering that you say legend, but so I'm from Erie originally, and I went to McDowell High School. I wrestled at McDowell. I went to Penn State undergrad and main campus, and then I went to Temple Law School. And I'm sorry, my voice is breaking up. I've been talking to people all day since I got up this morning. Sorry.
I understand. You're fine, sir.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I went to Temple Law School, and I was going to stay in Philadelphia, or so I thought at the time. And I was practicing with the Attorney General's office torts litigation section. What they do is they defend state agencies like PennDOT and state police and any state agencies. I was the drowning lawyer in the office because I had lifeguarded at Presque Isle State Park, and if someone drowns in the Chamonix Creek State Park, I would get those cases assigned to me. So anything that had to do with defending the Commonwealth, state agencies, I was doing that, working in the Pittsburgh office for the Attorney General's office. So my dad died around this time, and I was driving back and forth to Erie because my mom was having some issues that she needed help. I was a lawyer in the family. So it occurred to me that maybe I should move to Western Pennsylvania and help out a little bit. They didn't have a torts position open in Pittsburgh. So I took an environmental crimes job in Meadville, Pennsylvania. There's a brand new office. I was the attorney in charge, and I became a state prosecutor, environmental crimes prosecutor. And so environmental crimes is sort of like white collar crime dealing with environmental issues, and usually, most egregious stuff, not sort of run of the mill things. So I did that for a few years. I met my wife during that time frame. She wanted to stay in Western Pennsylvania. She's from Pittsburgh. And so we ended up moving back to Erie. And we've been married for 33 years. We have 4 kids. They're all in their 20s. They're all doing great. And most of them went to collegiate. So I was involved with all that when they were in high school. And I left after I left the AG's office. I started working for what used to be called DER. It's now called DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. This because I like the environmental stuff. I wanted to learn more about it. So that's where I learned how to litigate environmental cases, to administrative law, that sort of thing. And it was a good time to do it because this was under the Ridge administration. And the Ridge administration actually separated the DER, the old DER, Department of Environmental Resources, into what's now the DEP and the DCNR, which is the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, because there was a lot of unhappiness about how the DER was behaving. You couldn't get permits from them. They were very aggressive. They even held like DER in Warren for one day. People had bumper stickers that said, Gestapo and all this other stuff. So the Ridge administration took a different view. It's like, let's try to help people comply with the law. Let's not just punish people if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, which I thought was a very refreshing way to go about it. That's when I was working at the DEP. I ended up getting promoted to being in charge of the Meadville regional office. And I did that for a few years. And then I left and started my own private practice, just me in Erie. And I did that about 25 years ago. And I pretty much fight with the DEP as about 2/3 of my practice is I represent individuals, businesses, landowners, oil and gas companies, farmers, anybody that the DEP is regulating that is having a problem with the DEP. I represent those people. I've also been involved with some real estate development of contaminated sites. I was involved with the Presque Isle Downs development, for example. That Wixie or Winn-Dixie, it used to be the green shingle truck stop. I helped get that back into active use. I did the IP site. So, and I do, gas station releases, things like that. So I do mostly environmental work. I get involved with some easement disputes, some other things. But most of my practice is sort of protecting people against the DEP.
Right.
So,
Now, I've got a picture of you and Maria Batista up. Now, of course, you're holding your signs. Yours says Commonwealth Court. Hers says Superior Court. Now, explain to the people the difference between the two jobs that you guys are running for.
Sure. So the basic structure of the court system is that you have a trial court and you have an appeals court. So the trial court is where you have your original jurisdiction trial, where you put on witnesses and evidence and all that stuff, and then the court makes a decision. Sometimes it's a jury, sometimes it's a judge, but you always start off with a trial court. In the Erie, the one most people are familiar with is Court of Common Pleas. And that's down right downtown on 6th Street. So after you leave the trial court, if you're unhappy with a legal ruling in that case, you have the right to appeal to a higher court and have the legal rulings reviewed. You don't have the right to have a second trial, that sort of thing. You have the right to have legal rulings reviewed. And that's called an appeals court or an appellate court. So in Pennsylvania, when you go from the trial court to the appeals court, there's two intermediate appeals courts. One is called Superior Court, one's called Commonwealth Court. And then most people are familiar with the one that's above that, which is the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court takes very few cases. They're kind of like the United States Supreme Court. That they pick which cases they'll accept. There's a couple exceptions, but most cases they reject. About 98%, they say we're not going to take that case. So really your two main appeals courts in Pennsylvania are the Superior Court and the Commonwealth Court. The Superior Court is sort of a regular appeals court that people think of. You get in a car accident and you have a lawsuit over that, and you take an appeal that goes to Superior Court. You have a criminal case, goes to Superior Court. You have, medical malpractice, it goes Superior Court. Commonwealth Court was created in the late 1960s. It's a government-only court. That's all they do is deal with government stuff. So when I was defending state agencies back in Philadelphia in the 1980s, if one of those cases went through the Court of Common Pleas and then was appealed, it would go to the Commonwealth Court. Why? Because the defendant in the case was PennDOT or the state police or something like a state agency. So anything that has to do with the government goes to the Commonwealth Court. And it's a little bit more complicated than that. It also deals with, zoning appeals. And like the cases that I deal with the DEP, there's sort of a separate trial court that's actually an administrative agency called the Environmental Hearing Board. That's our trial court. And so cases that go through that trial court also go to the Commonwealth Court. So it's got all these different ways of getting in, but all of the cases deal with government, state and local government. And so if you think about, this is why I'm interested in being a judge on this court. If you think about how much we're regulated today, everything's regulated. You know, you flush your toilet, that's, you know, DEP is regulating that. You turn on the lights, that's the PUC, they're regulating that. So the Commonwealth Court really has a lot to do with how much government is enough government. I think we can all agree we want good roads, we want police protection, we want fire. You know, notwithstanding what some people say, I think we all agree, even as Republicans, that we want clean air and clean water. So how much government is enough, and then how much is too much? Like last week, I submitted comments to the DEP on a state plan proposal that they're doing on these regulations called Quad O regulation. Well, how'd they come up with that name? So this is part 60 of the EPA's air regs, and they started with subpart A, and then they had subpart B, and then they went through the alphabet an entire time, and then they started again. Subpart AA, subpart BB, and they went through the alphabet another time, and then they started again, and they went through the alphabet another time, and they started again, and so this subpart is Quad O because there's 4 O's because they've gone through the alphabet 3 times already. So I mean, it's just like sometimes it's just too much regulation, and we have too much government overreach. And so what this court does is they're the gatekeepers of our personal freedoms and private property rights. And if you don't have judges that are willing to sort of push back on the administrative state, you know, tap the brakes on too much government, then you're just going to get more of it. And so that's why I'm interested in this court.
And I tell you what, that is it brings me up the story that I was involved. We had an open carry rally in the downtown. We violated a city ordinance. We were found guilty, and of course we appealed it to the Commonwealth Court, and we won our appeal because we were fighting the city of Erie. So I understand it, but I just wanted the people to understand the difference in the worlds. Unless you're part of the system or been involved with it, a lot of people do not know, and it's like mind-boggling. The one question that I love to get all the candidates that are going for judges is we're getting a lot of talk amongst the people about legislating from the bench. I know you've probably been asked this 1,000 times, but you know, here you are in your home turf, you know, with a group of folks that are mostly Republicans, and they just want to know that the person that they're putting in that robe they're going to represent us are going to be the people that aren't going to be legislating from the bench. So just your opinion on that, sir.
Sure. I will not legislate from the bench, but just so people understand what we're talking about. In fact, at the fair tonight that I was at, I was talking to a state representative, and he was expressing how frustrated he is by this. And so if you think about how laws are passed, and they sometimes refer to as, you know, making sausage, because you've got all kinds of state representatives that are involved. And there's committees, and they make compromises, and they go through all this stuff. And then, you know, the House of Representatives comes up with its version, and then the Senate comes up with its version, and then they send them back and forth. And so sooner or later, we get an act that gets enacted, and then it's got to go to the governor, and they got to sign it. And after all of that, that's the law of the land on that particular topic. And then if it gets challenged, it goes in front of the courts. Now, the court's job is to test if the challenge is whether or not it's constitutional, then the court is in a position to make that determination. But this idea that if a court doesn't like the particular statute, it doesn't like the policy choices that were made, things like that, courts should not be engaged in that. And this is what people are concerned about, activist judges, and what you just described as legislating from the bench. So they don't like what the legislature decided, so they say, well, we're just going to set it aside, which is ridiculous. Unless something is clearly unconstitutional, judges are supposed to follow the law as written and, you know, just uphold it. They're not supposed to change it because they don't like the policy choices that the legislature made. And sometimes they refer to it as, staying in your lane. So the executive branch enforces and administers the laws, and the legislative branch makes the laws, and the judicial branch is supposed to interpret the laws, not make the laws. If the judge wants to make the laws, then they ought to, run for Congress and become a legislator. But what I used to see when I first started practicing, courts would write an opinion that says something like, well, we don't like this choice, but we are constrained because the statute is clear that this is what Congress intended. And I don't see that nearly as much as I used to, which is disheartening to me. Right. Because I think we have too many judges that they don't stay in their lane, and they think that they are legislators, and that is not what I will do if I'm on the Commonwealth Court.
Well, that the answer works for me. Now, I know your voice is a little strained, so I won't keep you on and ask you 1,000 questions.
That's right.
So, I mean, I trust me, I've been on the campaign trail. I know by the end of the day, you're like, you barely talk. So give us your close.
I apologize for that.
No. I've been there, done that. As soon as I heard your voice, I'm like, oh, this guy has been talking all day long.
Yes, that's
so
true.
Just give us your closing argument and tell us if we want some more information, a website, so we can get that more information and maybe get a hold of you, contact you with a quick message or something. How would we do that?
Yeah, sure. So it's Matt Wolford. Do you have that in front of you? Hang on just a second. Either one. I just want to make sure I get the website correct. Okay, so it's MattWolfordforJudge.com is the website.
Gotcha. And I know you have a Facebook page because I was looking at it today. That's how I follow you. Going all over the states. So yeah.
Yes, and so that's at Matt Wolford for Judge. So you can follow there, and you'll see, for example, photographs from the Ag Progress Days today that we were at, and from the fair we were at tonight. So we're pretty good about, sort of tracking my whereabouts and keeping current on all that. The closing argument's really pretty straightforward. When I'm walking around, you don't have very long to talk to people. Nope. When you're walking around fairs and you're talking to, people who are influential in a community, that sort of thing. So the way I tend to sum it up, we just talked about the Superior Court and the Commonwealth Court. The difference between those two courts is the Superior Court protects people from each other, and the Commonwealth Court protects people from government. And so when I talk to people, I say, look, if you want more regulation in your life, if you think we don't have enough government, that we're not regulated enough, you want to vote for my opponent from Philadelphia. But if you think like me, that we have too much regulation in our life, that we could probably use a little bit less government, that we need people that are willing to tap the brakes on some of the government overreach, then you want to vote for someone like me, because we need people like that with common sense on this particular court. That's really what my candidacy is all about, in a nutshell. One of my concerns about this fall is we had such poor participation in the primary. The Republicans showed up 18%. The Democrats showed up 22%. When you averaged it out, it was about 20%. And if people don't, people should vote regardless of who you're voting for. You should get out and vote. I think 20% is pretty pathetic. And I understand the primaries, not the general, but still, it's pretty pathetic. And so whatever people can do to get motivated, this early voting stuff, everybody's afraid of, well, I don't want to send in my vote by mail because, conservatives, Republicans, they tend to want to vote on, election day, which I agree with, but we have laws right now that allow a different way of doing it. And I actually voted for myself in the primary this year, doing a mail-in ballot. But what I did was I just went to the courthouse and I asked for it, and they gave it to me, and I filled it out and I put it in the box. So it was just like I was voting like on election day, except I did it on my terms, when the weather was nice, when I knew I was going to be in town, and there was no mailing involved. It was right there in the box in the courthouse. So I would encourage people, if they're concerned at all about the weather on November 4, or they got to take the kids somewhere, or something with school, whatever, just do it on your terms. Do it the way that I did it at the courthouse. It's really quite simple. So I'd encourage everybody to vote and do whatever they can to get the energy up for this fall.
And that's been the premise of why we did this show. Just, live from the dining room, just, all of us coming together with the same push. Because when I didn't get reelected for my seat on county council, it was barely a 24% turnout rate. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I was an Army veteran and took an oath to the Constitution. And you folks can't even get out and vote. We vote early. You can sit at home and do a mail-in ballot. And you're absolutely right. Republicans, they foo-foo, I vote in person. Well, yeah, just wait till we get a snowstorm on that one crazy day and we get our clocks cleaned because of old man Winter decided to knock early. So I did exactly what you did. I went down to the courthouse on my terms. I didn't have to wait in line. I sat there at a booth. I filled out my application. I filled it in. I handed it to Miss Fernandez and the voter registration office. They put it in the box. Have a nice day. And it was done. And that's that simple. So there's no excuse.
Right. And if I don't like the system we have, as far as I'm concerned, we could, go to India and get our blue thumb and be done with it. But it's the system that we have.
I understand.
And so we might as well take advantage of the system just like the Democrats do. And this idea that, we win as Republicans on election day and then we find out overnight that we didn't.
Oh, absolutely.
That's very discouraging. Like, it sounds like probably you did. It's very discouraging.
Oh,
the only other thing I would go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say the only other thing I would mention is there's only been one other judge from Erie that's been on the Commonwealth Court, highly respected, Jess Giuliani.
All right.
Yeah, so it was the Jess that probably a lot of your listeners know is his dad. He was a great judge, by the way, and a good friend of my dad's. And he was on that court for about 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure if he was actually elected or appointed. I may end up being the first, if I succeed, being the first elected Commonwealth Court judge. I can also tell you that I'm the only judge that I'm aware of that if I get elected that knows environmental law, that has been practicing environmental law for 30 years. Judge Brobson was, he ended up doing a lot of the environmental stuff. There's a judge now, Wojcik, that does a lot of it, but neither practiced environmental law before they got on the court. And I think it would be useful and helpful for this court to understand, to have somebody that understands how the DEP operates, how the underground storage tank indemnification fund operates, and, sort of all the other stuff that I deal with in an environmental context, because a lot of the work that they do deals with DEP and the various other state agencies that do environmental work. So I just think it would be good for the court as well, and for Erie too, just to have a perspective from Northwestern Pennsylvania.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, that was a nice cleanup, and I will end it there. We want to give you a break and let you have a nice ride home and not talk to anybody and drink lots of honey, maybe a shot of whiskey, maybe that, if not, who cares? It'll help out anyway. But sir, thank you for your time. I know you're a very, very busy guy. This show goes out on 7 channels. We catch a lot of people. They watch it tomorrow, the next day, in a couple days. So we appreciate your time, nobody ever thanks the wives. The wives are the glue that hold this all together, and they're the ones that make the magic happen. So, special thank out to your wife, your staff. Thank you, sir, for coming on our show. We appreciate it. And you have an open invitation anytime you want to call in. This is my personal cell. Shoot me a text. You want to come in, you can do that. You're more than welcome back.
Thank you so much. I'll look forward to doing that.
All right,
Appreciate
sir. You have a safe trip. Tell everybody I said hello.
All right. We're not coming home tonight. I'm in Scranton tomorrow and then somewhere else the next. I'm going to get home on Sunday night. So, but
you take your time.
We're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, the weather's perfect up here, but you guys have safe travels.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Well, there you go. Matt Wolford, Commonwealth Court, the man, the legend right there. I've met him several times. A great guy to talk to. I think he is definitely an asset to help us as a community when these, like you said, with the DEP stuff and environmental stuff, you're not going to get anything over on him. This guy's been practicing that forever. So good luck. So yeah, that's what we try to do. We try to bring in everybody. We've had Maria on the show. Now we've had Matt Wolford on the show. We've had the other judges on the show. And so we're just kind of excited. Our little show's growing, and it's a force to be reckoned with. That we are the local voice. That I'm not going to throw hardballs at you. I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to throw a bunch of case law at you, and I want you to know everything I at. No, man, who are you? Just tell us your story. Who are you? Why? Where you're going? And why should we vote for you? So, Brenda, you want to go ahead and start that video?
I'm Christina Wyo in Dallas, and here are your top stories. Congresswoman Maxine Waters' campaign was found guilty of violating multiple election laws and was ordered to pay $68,000. The FEC is ordering the campaign committee of Waters to pay the fine for multiple campaign finance violations during her 2020 re-election campaign. The FEC said the campaign didn't correctly report how much money it was taking in or spending in 2020, accounting for hundreds of thousands of dollars. It also accepted donations that were over the legal limit, $19,000, and made $7,000 in cash payments, which is against the rules. To settle the issue without going to court, the campaign agreed to pay the fine and send its treasurer, David Gold, to an FEC training program within a year to learn the rules. The campaign said the mistakes weren't on purpose and were just errors. They fixed their financial reports and returned or redirected the extra donations. This is not the first time Waters' campaign has been in the spotlight for financial reasons. In fact, in 2023, Waters' campaign paid her daughter, Karen Waters, $192,300 for a, quote, slate mailer operation between January 2021 and December 2022. The money was part of over $1.2 million paid to her daughter since 2004 for campaign work. Additionally, in 2010, the House Ethics Committee investigated Waters for alleged conflict of interest violations related to assistance provided to a bank linked to her husband. Many online critics are calling the fine a slap on the wrist, with others pointing out that if she was a Republican, she would be, quote, expelled from Congress and be under an FBI investigation looking at prison time. The $68,000 fine ends the FEC's investigation. That's what you need to know. In Dallas, Christina Wyo.
Now, wait 1 minute. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that the whole essence of Trump's 32 felonies? It was just a paperwork issue and nobody lost any money. Everybody made money. Nobody cared. The banks were like, oh, we made a fortune. We don't give a shit, whatever, But again, like exactly like they said, if she was a Republican, it would have turned out a different way. So again, the Democrats don't understand why we get so pissed off at them, because this is the baloney that it just keeps coming on and on and on. She gave her daughter a ton of money and she gets a slap on the wrist, pays a fine. She's worth millions. Who cares? What that was like lunch. Ridiculous. Absolute ridiculous. So yeah. Yeah. Lance, before displaying pictures of Maxine Waters, please warn us. My clocks need replaced. Oh, Lance, you never, ever, ever, ever failed to make me laugh. You and your antics, But no, I get it. So, like I said, this is our little show. It's nice to see that these players are going, wait a minute, we don't have a conservative voice in Erie. Again, I don't like to pick on Joel too much, but he says he's a conservative station, which he's not. When you have an ultra liberal producer that, but I think I sent him a text and said, well, you need to get rid of Shaney because she just called the vice president stupid. I would love to see Shaney Bills sit down with JD Vance and debate him. I would love to see that. I would bet you to say that word stupid would be flipped around. But anyway, so yeah, we're always trying to get people. We have open invitations to a lot of candidates. Some of them, we've had both of our local judges. That was cool. Mrs. Bursky and Mr. Leitner, they both came on there, gave us their perspectives, and that's fine. And that's what we're here for. And then I don't say, okay, well, we got to wrap this up. We got to break here in about 5 minutes, and they come back for 3 minutes and they go back to break again. No, that is not actually giving the people, you, me, we, the people, the voice we want. I don't care about 15 minutes of commercials. We play one commercial, and that's 3 minutes. We get that at the beginning and we roll out. This is not a business. This is just a hobby. It is just a public service to get the message out to you people, to spread the word. We need to get people out and vote. Not my words. You heard a future judge saying we need to get out and vote. We, not him. We get out and vote. I know we talked about it before. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it again. Matter of fact, let's talk about. Let's see here. Design. Voter registration. Boop, right there. Here, we got to go this way. This Saturday from 4 to 8, voter registration at the dock. We're going to be down there with the Kim Hunter trailer. We'll have a little some clipboards. We'll have some. You can actually fill out your voter registration right there. We'll have a couple little tablets if you want to do it online. If we can get a good signal down there, sometimes it's a little wonky. You can register vote online. Hand you the tablet. You fill it out. You sign it. Have a nice day. You are registered. You want to change your party affiliation? We will do that. You know, I know that. So yeah, that will be this Saturday. Boop. And Kim, if you want to call in now, you can. It's a 30-second delay. Tick tock, tick tock. So, Brendan, you want to play a video, please?
National Guard troops are on the streets to help carry out the president's unprecedented and boundary-pushing plan to take over policing in the nation's capital.
One day after President Trump announced his plan, National Guard troops were deployed to D.C. streets Tuesday night, joining nearly 900 federal agents and officers that have taken posts around Washington, alongside local police who are now under the authority of the Trump administration. In D.C.'s Anacostia neighborhood, Ron Moten says crime has long plagued his community, but he and others are skeptical this is a good idea.
They're tired of violence. I get it. But my only caution is one thing can lead to the next thing. You can take over our police department today, and we wake up and you take over our city.
They may not give it back.
They might not give it back.
Top Department of Justice officials, including the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, met with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser yesterday, while the White House defended the 30-day takeover.
We are removing as many criminals from the streets, and we are cleaning up D.C. as best as we can, and working with the Metropolitan Police Department to do that.
Darrell Gaston has seen the violence up close.
Those are bullet holes up there?
Yeah, bullet holes. This whole window had to be replaced right here.
A recent car chase and shooting damaged the outside of Gaston's restaurant. He welcomes an increased law enforcement presence, but says the community wants a longer-term plan to curb crime.
We can always use more police, right? But I think having police officers that are from the community, that are trained locally, is much different than having a federal police that's not trained in community policing.
D.C.'s mayor cites data which shows violent crime is at its lowest level in 30 years and had this warning about Trump's actions.
I think that is what he is trying to make it normal, where citizens say the federal government should overtake local policing. We can't be desensitized to it because it's not normal.
As for how long this federal takeover will last, the White House says it will reevaluate and make further decisions after this current 30-day window is up.
Free D.C. Free D.C. This is about what Trump is trying to do to D.C. in order to take over D.C. and silence us. This is the story of a ruler who is trying to oppress a people and who's causing real harm to real communities in the process. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win.
They're actually protesting not to have their city safe. I think that's how I'm interpreting that. And just a friendly reminder, it's the District of Columbia. Now, I'm not a constitutional guy. Maybe we should have asked our lawyer, but I know his voice was hoarse. I didn't want to keep him on too long. I know it's a long day. I get that. Is the District of Columbia, that's why they set the capital up and made it a District of Columbia and not a state. So it was a separate entity and they have different rules. That's my loose interpretation of it. If you guys know any different, please correct me, but that was how I read it. Sorry, I bumped the camera. My bad. I'll call Kim back. She called Again, there she is. Change my ringtone. White zombie. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, the time delay thingy tripped us up again.
I know. I always mess up
It's
that
not
thing,
your fault.
don't I?
It is not your fault there. So what's going on?
Well, I'm really looking forward to Celebrate Erie Days. We'll have a few people down there Friday evening handing out cards and some bags with voter registration information.
Right.
But I'm really excited about our dock rally on Saturday. Guys, we have so much fun down there, hanging out, talking to voters, and they seem to be not giving us the middle finger this time.
Well, it's not a Trump thing. They don't. It's hard to hate a little Italian old lady.
Okay, I'll take that if it gets me a vote.
I was waiting. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get on trouble for that one. But no, I mean,
Yeah.
they're programmed to hate Trump. We get that. And this is now local, so the hate should not be as bad. As I snicker
Yeah.
and spit on my own microphone.
But I'll tell you what, and if anybody wants to get some exercise, feel free to call me. We can go out door dropping together, because I've been hitting a lot of houses, and when Brian and I ran the last time, they're like, no, you're Republican, you're just too far right. Now they are welcoming the idea, because what I tell them is, if the Democrats were going to fix this, they would have done it in the last 60 years, and they have not done that yet.
No, and we've given them plenty of time. Oh, we're going to get a new mayor. Well, you change the players, it's still the same game. They still play by the same game. And the problem is the game is changing with these newer Democrats to where they're far left. I think I'm going to steal your thunder. The old blue is the new red.
Absolutely agree. Yeah. Because the conservative Democrats even realize their party's not what it used to be. You know, so we are having really good luck that way. The number one thing is, even after talking to Scott Pressler and Mr. Longo the other day, we really need you guys to help us get people out to vote, because we have the votes. We just need people to either go do early in-person voting, use their mail-in ballot, or come out to the polls, and we can also use some volunteers at the polls. If you're not doing anything, maybe a couple hours in the morning or a couple in the evening, just to say, hey, thank you for coming out to vote today, and hand them a piece of paper. It really makes, I think they said it's like a 9% impact to raise our voting. So, anybody that's going to do that, we're getting our list together right now, and we would really appreciate you guys' help in making Erie great again.
Well, yeah, and that's been our whole premise of we keep doing the same thing over and over again. You're not getting a different outcome. Oh, I don't know. A fuzzy-haired German guy named Albert Einstein came up with that one long before we were here, and we just keep doing it. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, and it's not happening. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And when the best you can come up with for city council is a racist, a guy who throws rocks at people, and a guy admits to shooting people, we can do better, Erie. We can.
Yeah. We absolutely can, and that goes back to the old vote blue no matter who, and look who they voted in. And I don't even think they like those people, and I'll tell you what, I'm glad you brought up the Jasmine thing, because I reposted her stuff, about Celebrate Erie Days. A lot of people have been commenting on it.
Right.
But the behavior that went on last night at county council, I don't want them to ever talk about the way the Red Hats behaved.
Of course,
at city council.
And of course they brought us up, which we had nothing to do with any of this, but they had like with Red Hats when they were acting like that. Dude, we were there for 10, 15 minutes and we left.
Right. And Mr. Scatella, he just let that thing get completely under control. He was letting people come up and just interrupt and talk 2 or 3 times. He was letting some other lady come up. They were talking like it was a conversation, totally inappropriate, and what do you get out of Drexel? I see everybody got hurt feelings and stuff, and I really dropped the ball. I want to apologize to all of you. What?
District 5 has nothing to do with this, other than him being a liberal Democrat that stays right in pace with the rest of the Democrats, and he does exactly what he's told by his Democrat handlers.
Yes, and even Rock Copeland gave the same response. I hate to hear about anybody dying, so I really apologize. I didn't reach out to you guys and stuff. Well, let's talk about the reason they did not reach out. It was because their lawyer told them they could not comment on this whatsoever. And they got that from Mr. Tallarico straight up. So they were yelling at him as well, but, going after Jim Wynorski, and yelling and screaming at him the way they were and telling him not to smile and stuff, it was totally inappropriate. He's county council. He's not with state police or anything else. And if they don't like the way Beth is handling that, tell them to ask them to have Dave Sunday take it over. He's state.
Totally agree with you. But hey, they just want to make noise, and that's fine. That's their right. That's their right to make noise, their First Amendment right. And that's fine. But there is also the way you're supposed to behave. But hey, whatever.
Now I will say this, and it'll probably be the only time I say it, Brian. I will give a thumbs up to Andre Horton last night, the way he spoke to them. And he brought up how he had to bury 3 of his sons, and these investigations don't get done in 60 or 90 days. That one of his sons took 3.5 years, the other one took 5 years.
I understand.
And just because you don't see people that you elected doing something doesn't mean they're not doing something behind the scenes. So he said, I appreciate your patience. They organized, but, rest assured, you're going to have justice. It's just not going to come as fast as you want. And I thought that was really nice of him to do, because usually he likes to get people riled up and stuff, but he really got them calmed down a lot. So, I'm not probably never said it again, but he did a good job.
I've talked to Andre about this, and he unfortunately has had a rough time. He has lost family members to this violence. He knows it firsthand. He's walked these shoes. So when he speaks, him and I don't agree on a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of things we did agree on. And I agreed with him on this one. He speaks from the heart, because it would be horrible to have to bury a family member because of this type of tragedy. And I get that, but being half cocked and running around threatening people's families and stalking their children online and doxing them, what does that accomplish? Absolutely nothing.
Right.
It makes
Absolutely
you look like
nothing.
it makes you look like the bad guy.
Right. And I can never imagine outliving one of my children, much less 3, so you could really see it in he was very, very concerned about this, and he spoke from the heart, and he did do a good job last night. Gatell, on the other hand, he did not do a good job, and I'm very, very disappointed in him.
I couldn't hear it. The audio didn't work. Of course, I don't think that was on purpose. Wink, 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 nudge, nudge. But yeah, you couldn't hear the audio.
Yeah, well, the speakers kept turning off the microphone in between, which I can't even figure out why they're touching it, except for when they were adjusting it, make it larger. But, and Lou Aliotta spoke out last night. I got to tell you guys this. I was very, very proud of Lou. Got straight to the facts and everything. He had his First Amendment rights violated at county council, and he's gone to the lawyers. His lawyers have written letters to county council, to Tallarico. They have not replied. So he called them out on it last night and let them know, you can't do this just to me or to anyone else. You wouldn't like if somebody did it to you, so I will be filing a federal complaint against you. So I was very, very impressed with the way Lou spoke last night.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the end of one of his right to knows or his lawsuits, because he's like he's a short little Italian guy, but he's like a chihuahua.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And that's why I'm so happy. He's going to be in there with Greg Hayes, watching them open them ballots, because I'll tell you what, nothing's going to get by them.
Nope. Totally agree with you.
It makes you feel a lot better, not just for me, but for the other candidates. So I'm going to let everybody go, but if you have any thing you want to discuss with me or anything, get a hold of Brian or Brenda, or you can reach us on makeeriegreatagain.net. And I hope you all come out on Saturday, even if it's just to say hello.
Right.
All right?
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye, Kim. Thanks. All right. Let's roll another video, Brenda, and we'll wrap this thing up.
Welcome to Explain America. I'm your host, Kyle Becker. Well, it's been a whirlwind 24 hours in Texas, and in the Lone Star State, it looks like the Democrats are ready to surrender. They've been gone, absent without leave, for well over a week, and it's been dragging on and on and on. But we're about to see an end to this saga, and it's not going to be to the Democrats' liking. But before we get into that, please like, share, comment, Explain America. Join us. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Well, it escalated really quickly. The Texas Senate just made it official. They passed the new congressional redistricting map that could give Republicans up to 5 more U.S. House seats. In a dramatic fashion, the Democrats really showed their true colors. Now take a look at what happened when the Texas Senate passed the redistricting bill 19-2. This is ridiculous. After the Senate passed the redistricting bill, 9 of the 11 Senate Democrats got up and walked out like it was a bad reality TV show. That left nearly an empty chamber, which Republicans didn't mind one bit. So they passed the map 19-2. And if you look at Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, he said, "We will continue passing this map every session until House Democrats return from their vacation and get back to work." Translation, cry harder, Democrats. So the Democrat caucus, which this is the only thing they can do nowadays, they released a fiery press release claiming the new map is corrupt and unfair and rigged. You know, the usual spiel. So they're insisting this session was supposed to be about flood relief and accuse Republicans of stealing power. But you know what? They could have just passed that stuff too. So there's really no excuse. It's very lame. So the map is moving back to the Texas House. And now you might have noticed they're missing over 60 Democrats. And many of whom have fled the state and went to Chicago, New York, and Boston. Well, guess what? They have, in a late night development on Tuesday night, admitted that they are going to have to come back to the Texas House. That's going to be a major L for the Democrats, and that's a party that's been taking nothing but L's since the 2024 election. So they're going to have to come back with their tails between their legs, and they're going to have to get beat in a vote. And what do you think they're going to be able to say to all the Texans out there who have been waiting for flood relief? That it's the Republicans' fault they didn't get it faster? Well, they could have shown up. They could have gotten to this redistricting bill. And let's get something straight about that. If you examine the states all across the United States, there are 40 to 45% Republican voter states with 0 House representatives.
Yeah, so that it was a little bit longer, but I mean that gives you a nutshell what's happening in Texas. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know, they gerrymander stuff all over the place, all over the country. California, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Erie County, we're victims of it. We get it every day under Bob Mursky's lockdown king, heavy-fisted, heavy-handed COVID crap he put us through. So we've talked about that. So we are a victim of it right here in Harbor Creek, Erie County. You know, we had it a Republican. He retired. Now we got a Democrat out of the city to represent us. Gerrymandering. It happens all over the place. So it's just not a Texas thing, and it's the threat to democracy. When we get it, what happens to us, we grumble. We're going to vote you out of office. No, we don't have temper tantrums and jump on a private plane and go sit down in Illinois in a private paid for luxury hotels. So yeah. Was one more video, Brenda?
Negative,
Ghost Rider. All right. Well, other than that, I think we're going to go ahead and bring this in for a landing. It's been fun. There were some other things I wanted to talk about, but we're at the hour and a half mark. Some people have to go to bed and get up and go to work tomorrow. And so we're going to bring it in for a landing. I want to thank you all for coming out. Matt Wolford for coming in, spending 15, 20 minutes with us. I know he's a busy guy out on the campaign trail. Like I told him, I said he can call back anytime. Hopefully we'll get Maria Batiste to come back on and talk to us about her time on the campaign trail. I know she really spent a lot of time in Erie County in the primary because her math showed how important Erie County was. And it was very winnable, and her math was right. And then we'll start kind of like looking around, poking around for the governor's race. You know, we can't let Shapiro get reelected. Nope. He was Governor Wolf's henchman during COVID. I won't forget. I will remind you people every day what they did to this community. Almost 40% of our small businesses were lost due to that lockdown. That's why I blame Mursky. I blame Harkins, and I blame Bizarro for keeping Erie County locked down when they should have stood up and fought for us, and they didn't. They just stayed right in line. They could have voted against it, but they're good little Democrats, and they do what they're told. So, other than that, thank you all for coming out. We appreciate it. Again, special thank you to Brenda for everything she does. Couldn't do it without her. roll the outro, and I will see you guys, I think, next Sunday. I don't think I have to work.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it! God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
All right, everybody, thanks for coming out. I will see you on Sunday. Everybody, drink plenty of water. Let's be safe out there. Let's get people registered to vote. Let's stop down the dock Sunday. Let's all stand there with a application to get people registered. Let's get at least one person registered per person that comes down there, because every single vote counts. And if you don't think it doesn't, you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. All right. Like we always say at the end of the show, Shank out.